was like, I gotta come first. Intros in my outro, that's why I'll be letting it play. You know what I'm saying? That's important to me. I need that.
You serious about that arrangement there,
it's special.
It must have been not hard to get YG on that joint, right? Like,
yeah, nah, that's right up his line. I think he killed it too. You know, he had done another verse originally that was fire. And then he hit me like, Nip, man, I'm about to do another verse. Fuck that, I'm about to go in again. I'm like, you crazy, bro. Nah, this verse hard. But then he came with that, and I'm like, nah, I feel you. You know what I mean? Yeah. That one is strong. And, you know, I wanted to make a record that felt like it belonged to the coast.
I know you trying to go in order.
I'm like, I just hop out and speak, what's up, bro? Mm-hmm. He like, yeah, I'm gonna have that record back soon. I'm like, all right, bet, good looking. He like, dedication, right? I'm like, nah, not dedication. It's the other one. He like, nah, I think it's dedication. So I'm like, all right, I guess, man. I ain't seen it. I maybe thought he had it confused, but my producers had snug it to him. And in the verse, he rapped about what we talked about at the Pac premiere. Yeah. Because it was me, Snoop, Top Dog, and K-Dot. And we just having a real convo just about, you know, gang shit and just like what's going on in the streets. And, you know, in Snoop and Top era, it was a different climate to talk about figuring out a solution. You know what I mean? To the problems. Top being from Bonnie Hunt, Snoop being from Long Beach 20s. Yeah. Snoop being a Crip, Top being a Blood. It just was a different environment in the 80s and the early 90s. It wasn't, I don't think it was even realistic. But now, what our convo was about was that, you know, Kendrick occupying the space he occupied. It was just a convo. We like, what y'all think? You know, what is it time? You know, is it time for us to address that? Yeah. And so, you know, Kendrick kind of brought that energy into his verse. And I thought that was just super dope. You know, I was going through the album and he heard that one, and it was like a room full of people. It was some girls in the room. It was some producers, you know, cameramen. It was just like a lot of creative people in the room. And he gravitated to that one. And he was pumped. Like, we was doing push-ups in that session. We was clapping. Every time he came out the booth, he was clapping.
What you said, don't stop, elevate or something? Yeah. He said, I don't forgive you no more?
No, I said, I forgive you. I remember I was poor. But I ain't in the way of what you're reaching for. You gotta play the game, you gotta read the score. See, I'ma do the same and pop the clutch in foreign. I'm telling the story about how my brother, when I was probably like 15, he might have been 18. He buried $250,000 in my mom's backyard on 60th Street. And then we dug it up a year later, and it was, half of it was molded. And it was like lumps of money stuck together and like mildew. My mom, my little sister, myself, my brother, we had the whole 250 across the living room floor, the kitchen table, and we was all blow drying the money, trying to like dry it up so we could peel it out without it like ripping. So I was just speaking to the moment of like taking a real loss as young street hustlers, and then being able to look at 5-10 years later, making all that money back legally in music and being in a position to even go further. So yeah, this Blue Laces too. This produced by the original producer. His name Mr. Lee. He's from Houston. Yeah, that's another story that really happened at Dockweiler Beach when we was young, teenagers. And it was a big fight, a gang fight that turned into a shootout. And my boy, you know, he got shot up. And, you know what I mean? It's just speaking to that convo when your homeboy shot and you talking to him. The way I had to tell old girl get out the driver's seat because she was panicking and she wasn't gonna get us to the hospital in time. And he might have bled out. I just think that's what I wanted this album to represent, just those stories and really expand on them and go into detail. And you talk about things the day after they happen, you might still be angry, or you might still be
different energy.
Yeah, you know, and so you might be a little bit less subjective. Whereas if a year go by, 2 years go by, you could look back on it with hindsight. And hindsight is 20/20, so you'll be able to really see clear. And when I think about what make Victory Lap special, it's that it's a collection of stories. It's a collection of narratives that make us being successful and business owners and tech entrepreneurs. What makes that so incredible is these stories. I wanted to make a project that hit the bullseye in terms of what hip-hop is. If I don't know nothing, I know hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? I used to go broke on the Source and XXL when I was a young kid and spend my last on a Pac CD and a Biggie CD. Literally, and my brother would argue with me like, bro, you ain't gonna have no lunch money. You know what I mean? We don't get no allowance, bro. And I was really inspired to that degree that it didn't matter. I'll figure lunch out. I needed that new Source, and I needed that new Biggie tape or that Pac tape.
Yeah.
And so if I know anything, I know hip hop, and I wanted to create a project that just reflected and represented my opinion of what dope hip hop is. And so I think that a young person from, you know, South Central LA that turned into what I turned into and what my team turned into, telling his story, is very inspiring and is the selling point, you know what I mean? Yeah. And this Victory Lap is me telling my story and being able to say, you know, I'm a business owner, I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I made my first $1 million legally on the books, you know what I mean? As somebody that dropped out of the 10th grade, stopped going to school at 14, you know what I mean? Been through all the institutions, the jail shit, my brother going back and forth to prison, being in street wars, just going through gang culture. You know what I mean? That's incredible that we right here in the back of the Maybach at the Waldorf Astoria with a major label debut.
You know, while the sweater and the crew necks is getting famous, everybody start bootlegging. The Tag Game Marathon, the Crenshaw crew neck is a knockoff, and that was genius. And so now people are like, yeah, that's if it ain't got the marathon on it, it ain't the real one.